Hi guys, my name is Becky. I'm one of the carnivore keepers here at the Houston Zoo, and we're out here with our cougar cubs Shasta and Louie, and we're just doing an update on these guys. They have finally moved over to the big cougar exhibit here at the zoo, and we have both of them up here training at the mesh with some other keepers. This is really important. These guys are only 8 months old right now, and they've just started this training program here at the zoo where we can do a whole bunch of husbandry behaviors with these guys to make sure they're nice and healthy. So you'll see them show their paws and stand up on the mesh, so we'll be able to look through their whole bodies and stuff. And it's really good interaction with the keepers. It gets them stimulated throughout the day, makes it more interesting for them. But they are in this big cougar exhibit. Some of you that have come to visit the zoo remember them in the smaller exhibit when they were smaller. Being 8 months old, they're about 60 pounds right now. So they were big enough to come and hang out in the bigger exhibit. We waited a little while just because the rock work was very high in this exhibit. So we made sure that they were able to get through all the rock work safely. But as you can see, they're really excited. They're actually getting some fun treats today. Keepers are feeding them a bit of feline meat. What that is basically like ground beef that we feed them. It just has all this stuff that is essential for carnivores in it. So it looks like ground beef, but it has stuff like heart valves in it and like bone chunks in it and everything that's really vital for carnivores. These guys are also going to get some goat's milk here a little bit later and a bone as well. So you guys will be able to see all of that. So to tell you a little bit about Shasta and Louie here, Shasta is the one that you're seeing right now. He is the one with the most black on his tail. So if you guys come out, he's the one with the most black on his tail. Louie actually just has a little bit of black on his tail. The other thing that tells them apart, Shasta here is a little more bolder than Louie. He's usually more willing to investigate things a little more. Also, they have these little stripes underneath their eyes. We've actually been able to tell the difference between the little stripes underneath their eyes. Shasta has full stripes under his eyes, where Louie actually looks like he has circles under his eyes. These guys, being cougars, they do like to hang out really high up in the exhibit. So when you guys are here visiting, just want to make sure you guys look up high in the exhibit. They like to hang out in the rock work. Up where it's nice and shaded and gets a nice breeze. So if you're ever here, that's the best places to look, is hiding up in the rock work. I like to tell people some really cool facts about our cougars is the fact that they are in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most names. So here at the Houston Zoo, we call them cougars, and that's just because Shasta here is one of the U of H mascots. So go Cougs. One reason that we call them cougars, but other places in the United States we actually call them mountain lions. They're called pumas. They have so many different names. My favorite name for them is a fire starter cat, and that comes out of the Northwest. They believe that cougars in the Northwest actually took fire from the top of the mountain and brought it down the mountain, and that's how they used to get forest fires. So they have a whole bunch of different names that they go by. It usually goes off of what region they are at and where they live from. So the farther south you go, they're more likely called a puma. The more north you go towards like mountains, that's how they're called a mountain lion. So these guys being only 8 months old, they still have a lot of growing to do. Shasta is the heaviest out of the two. He's about 63 pounds, where Louie is a little bit on the smaller side. He's about 60 pounds. When these guys are full grown, they'll be about 150 pounds. And that will probably be in the next like 6 months or so. They'll be about a year old is about when they hit that more of that weight range. They grow really fast though. When they first came in, they were only like 10 pounds when they first came in. These two are rescues. They came from Washington State. Unfortunately, something happened to Mom and they couldn't live out their life out in Washington. And we were lucky enough to have an open cougar space, so we were actually able to bring them in here. So they've been here since September. They were about 2 months old when they came in, so they were actually too tiny to go on any of our smaller exhibits, and of course they had to go through their quarantine stage. And then once they passed quarantine, they went into one of our smaller cat exhibits. And now since they're on the bigger side, that's how they made it into this big cougar exhibit. So right now they're getting some milk products. This is actually goat's milk. It's actually really healthy for cats. A lot of people are like, oh, you can give them cow's milk. Well, cow's milk, fun fact about cats, they're actually lactose intolerant. And cow's milk actually makes their stomach a little upset. So we have found out over the years that goat's milk is a little more digestible for them, and they thoroughly enjoy it. I like to joke around that it's like chocolate milk for cats. Some of them, as you can see, really like the milk, and some of them would rather have meat. But most of our cats do like the goat's milk. We can use it as a training purpose as well, on top of their meat diet. And then usually once a week these guys get a bone. So we're actually going to give them a bone today to chew on. Bones are really healthy for them. It is nature's toothbrush for these guys, so it'll help break down their tartar. It keeps their jaws nice and strong. But as you can see, Louie is over there enjoying some goat's milk. We were doing some husbandry behaviors out here as they were training. These guys are new to our training program, so just as the fact that they are new to our zoo, we actually had to teach them to do all of the things you were seeing. When they came to us, they were very skittish, and we had to actually build up that bond with them so that they knew that we brought them food, and they knew that we brought them fun treats like this. But some of these husbandry behaviors that we train just to make sure that we can get an overall good health look at them. And then over here we have Shasta chewing on some rib bones. So as I said before, rib bones are super healthy for them. It keeps their jaws nice and strong. And they really enjoy it. Sometimes we give them knuckle bones, sometimes we give them rib bones. It's just something a little different that they can have throughout the week. So these guys range throughout the whole United States and South America. So they are seen from basically Canada all the way to the tip of South America. The most endangered one, puma-wise, is the Florida panther. Looks basically just like these guys, just a bit smaller, not as bulky. These guys you are able to see these guys in Texas. These guys are a Texas native species. Unfortunately, here in Houston, we have so many people, the likelihood of seeing them here is just slim to none. Best place to see them would be out at the national parks on the west side of Texas, but we do have cougars here in Texas. Shasta here, he is the U of H mascot, as I said before. We do ring guarding ceremonies twice a year where we actually get graduate rings out into the yard and they guard them for a night. When Shasta was in quarantine, fun fact, he got to do it for the first time in quarantine before he was upgraded into the bigger exhibit, and we actually recently did the last guarding of the rings on this big exhibit here. So these guys are carnivores. They do eat strictly meat. Out in the wild, they would take down things as big as deer, but they would also hunt smaller things like lizards and birds and small mammals like rabbits. Here, they basically get a meat diet. Every now and then we get something called bone-in meat for them, which is a nice steak dinner type of food for them. And then as you can see, they got some yummy ribs today. I don't know if you can see their tails, so you can tell the difference between the two. Louie's tail has that little bit of black on it, and Shasta's tail actually has a lot of black on it. Usually when they're hiding up in the rock work, they're usually right next to each other. So if you do see one, you're most likely to see both of them. These guys are still growing. They have a little feisty attitude. Louie here, I don't know if you guys can notice that his ears are down to the side. One way that we were able to tell them apart when they were younger is when we walked up, Louie would automatically stick his ears down. It's just one of his traits, one of his personalities. He's a little shy compared to Shasta, so one thing we notice about Shasta is he likes to keep his ears up. When we first met them when they came in, it was the same way. He didn't necessarily put his ears back as much as Louie. So if you see a cougar out here with his ears back, it might be Louie. You'll also see that they have really big paw pads and those big claws that are there. That helps them to navigate throughout their range. So with cougars, they live up in the mountains and up in the rockwork. It helps them jump from the rockwork and stuff. They also live in snowy regions, so the bigger the paws are, the easier it is to walk across the snow. Makes it more able to hunt. We do have a lot of enrichment here for these guys. So we found out these guys really like to play with balls, so we actually have a ball hanging in the exhibit. So if you guys are here, try and check out what kind of enrichment we give them. We do enrichment for all our carnivores here. They do have a ball in exhibit. We noticed when they were younger they like to bat things around. Just because they're getting older, that thing has not gone away. They still like to bat things around. So we try and make sure that they have things to play with throughout the day. Especially since they're so young, they have a lot of energy to expel. So we try and make sure that they have something different in their exhibit every day. So we're just going to give Louie another rib bone there. These are one of their favorite treats here at the zoo. These guys actually get ribs or bones in general twice a week. It's really good for the health of their teeth and their jaw muscles. So another really cool thing about these guys that we can do as well is we have tried other food items for them to try. Shasta and Louie here really like fish and rats as well. Bones are probably one of their most favorite, but that's just because they get them weekly. Oh, I have a question from the audience. How can we help save them in the wild? You can do a lot of things to help save them in the wild. One, coming to the Houston Zoo, we actually donate part of our proceeds to help animals like Louie and Shasta in the wild. There are a whole bunch of programs to donate to. Picking up your trash when you go hiking can help them out in the wild. There's a lot of things that can help them just survive. One of their main threats out in the wild is people interaction. So if you try and limit your time in spaces that they live, will also help them as well. Looked like Shasta took his bone and ran off, but we still got Louie up here. So another question we got is, will they be permanent residents here at the Houston Zoo? Yes, they will be. So as I said before, Shasta is our U of H mascot. We have a partnership with U of H, and their mascot is Cougars. So we actually partner with them, and because Shasta is their mascot, he will live his life here. And we have no reason to move Louie anywhere. They are a great pair. It lets us have more animals on exhibit. So they are most likely going to stay here. Them being a rescue animal, it's really hard. We don't necessarily breed them in captive care. We actually would prefer that we just give them an end of life, that they can live till the end of life in our care. and we have no reason to breed them or anything. It just helps helps preserve them. But I really want to thank you guys for joining us in on Facebook Live. Join us next week for another Facebook Live. Thank you guys.